I'm stuck in a cage and I'm ready to break out. So what are you afraid of? Those feelings are made up. Get in the game, your moment of fame, show them what you made of. It's time that we stand up. It's time that we man up. For anyone asking who is the best, we putting our hands up. My time. None of you people can tell me to stop. My time. None of you people can tell me to stop. Turning the track up. I'm never gonna back down. Hands over my heart. I do this for my town. I do this for my crowd. So turn me up real loud. My time. None of you people can tell me to stop.
Welcome back to the Logitech G Challenge USA Regional Qualifiers powered by Beyond Entertainment. My name is Frank Bowen and I'm joined again today by Luke Crane. Luke, how are you doing, man?
I am doing fantastically well. How are you doing, mate?
Dude, absolutely great. Cannot complain. I'm excited to get into these races here, but let's break the format down again real quick for anyone just joining us. So today racers are competing in our regional qualifier where they'll be trying to earn their spot in our regional final, and there's some prize money on the line as well. So there's $250 for first place, $150 for second place, and $100 for third place. So of our 40 finalists that will determine, only one PC racer and one PS4 racer are going to advance from that regional final. And the winners of that regional final will also receive $1,000, a Logitech G product bundle worth $800 in prizes, and a travel package to the Logitech G Challenge Global Final, where they're going to face off against the winners from Europe, Asia Pacific, and Latin America. And again, we'll crown one winner there as the Logitech G Challenge champion, and that winner will also earn their invitation to compete in the finals of the McLaren Shadow Project. So last qualifier, we saw a new face, Sauce, who we all love the name of there, and the Zebra was able to take that number 1 and number 2 spot on PS4 and on PC. First place went to THR Operator yet again, and more on him in a minute here. But we also saw Max A Power move up a spot in second, and it was Racer 66 closing out that third place money position. So drivers today are going to be racing, of course, in that 2016 McLaren 650S GT3 on the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Now, some of you might be a little bit familiar with that traditional oval-shaped speedway that you're seeing on the graphics here right now, but we're actually going to be racing on the road course here today. So, Luke, what are some of the differences we'll see on this track for anyone new here?
Well, first and foremost, it is a clockwise circuit. When the Indy 500 runs at the oval circuit, it's anti-clockwise. So we're going the opposite way along the start-finish straight here. But it is a GP circuit. We have had this in Formula One in the past, back in the early 2000s and sort of early 2010s. I don't even know what to call that decade, if I'm honest with you.
Yeah. The 10s, yeah.
Yeah, the 10s. But yeah, so it's a GP circuit. It's very wide. There's lots of long straights here, lots of slipstream opportunities. And the track temperature drop-off is absolutely huge with our times 25 time progression. So in the nighttime, you're going to see potential mistakes.
Okay, very nice. Now, and I know too, just while we were getting that lobby set up, and we mentioned THR Operator before, but Luke, do you want to run us through some of our drivers that we're seeing here today, and then we'll kind of break down some of those familiar faces?
Absolutely. I'll just pop them up for you about now. And first and foremost, then we've got M10 PSI, second race here in the Logitech G USA Challenge. He's from the United States of America. He will be in the number 58. Next up, then, we've got Airstrike 1989, one of the two brothers here. He is from the United States of America as well. Our third driver here, then, is in the number 59. That is X-Wolf, who's actually taken part on PC and PlayStation 4 previously, and will be doing both here today. He's from America as well. We've got Little Regret, first race with us here today. Not sure what to expect from this gentleman, but he's from the United States of America. Next up, then, is the Smashing Apex, which actually is THR Operator, so he's racing in both platforms, and with the money on offer, why wouldn't you? Yeah. Mr. Min Vikings, and his second race with us here, he is from the United States of America. He will be rocking the number 13 K-Pax livery there. Next up then is Driver 13 in a number 59 livery. His name's Joshua, and he is from the United States of America as well. We've then got Dark King, who was the bad boy of round number 1. He's from the United States of America. He's in the Vodafone number 2 livery here today as well. We've then got Twisted from Canada, our first Canadian. He's in the number 9 livery, the K-Pax yellow and dark blue. Keep an eye on him. He's been getting better and better and better as the weeks have been going on. Then we've got Duggo Polis from the United States of America. He is in the 3rd iteration of the number 59 because apparently McLaren like to have the same numbers on loads of different cars. Then we've got Renal, who is from the United States of America. His name's David Santos. He is repping the number 6 livery here today. And then we've got Snaky Rafa from Brazil, who resides in America. And you can see that he is in the number 11 here today. Next up then is Sauce. We've just had a brief conversation about him, but he's back for his 2nd week, and he was very, very good last week, so I'm expecting big things from him. Then we have got Airstrike 1, so he is 1989's brother, and his name's Tony. He'll be in the number 9 livery. He is from the United States of America. In the number 37, I like to call this the Tutti Frutti livery, is the Zebra 94, Mr. William, and he is from the United States of America. And that's all of our drivers there, Frank. A few names that we've seen before, some new faces as well, as this competition does promote finding new talent. So it should be a really, really good little stream here.
Yeah, I'm excited to see today because we've kind of got a couple of, fresh faces. We've seen some new drivers, but then we've seen some old drivers on PS4, but now we've got Smashing Apex, aka THR Operator, and he's been driving so well these previous weeks. I mean, we know how fast he is. He's the fastest out there. So it's interesting to see that crossover now. People realize, well, I've qualified, but there's still that money on the line. So, if you can double up your earnings per qualifier, why not? And this kind of allows for that because, the PS4 and PC competitions, don't run in parallel. They're staggered start times. So it's going to be interesting to see because we did see some really solid driving that previous qualifier out of Sauce. He was a new face the last qualifier as well. We didn't see him week 1, saw him week 2, and he was very dominant in that previous race. So now it's really cool to see how these drivers are going to stack up not only against each other, but against platforms as well.
Yeah, of course. Well, it's not only the money that Smashing Apex or Operator is gunning for here. He could get himself 2 entries into the regional final. He could be racing on PC and, of course, PlayStation. So there's 2 shots there to become the the USA champion, if you like. So there's lots of on the line for him. Big opportunities here. Sauce, by the way, has gone P2, and considering he's up against, we can really see a genuine top esport level representation on PlayStation 4 with Operator. We know how fast he is, and for Sauce to only be 0.4 of a second off the pace here, that's a very good representation of his genuine talent here. We've got X-Wolf then in P3 currently. We've then got Driver 13 in P4. Little Regret is in P5. We've then got Airstrike 1989, the first of the brothers, then in P6. They qualified last week, I believe, P7 and P8, so they're next to each other pretty much all race. M10 then is in P7 right now. He just improved there, but not enough to put himself up a position. Then got Dark King, the bad boy of the competition, in P8. We've then got Mr. Min Vikings in 9th, and then Duggo Polis, who is new to this championship, is rounding out our top 10 here. But look at the top 2 then, Frank. You can see, again, we know how fast Operator is, but Sauce, he's right there in amongst it.
Yeah, and that's what's, really interesting to see too. Like typically, so let's, sometimes we use like Call of Duty as a comparison when we're talking about these races and how things are more one-to-one in racing and it's you versus the track. But also, comparing like PS4 to PC in say a first-person shooter or something like that. The skill sets are very different, right? Aiming with a mouse and keyboard versus aiming with a controller. But here you can compete on multiple platforms and the skill transfers. So if it's a PS4 event that you're racing in, you're going to be just as good as racing on PC outside of maybe some minor technical differences. The carryover, that's one of the coolest things about these races is the carryover is much more natural and it's much more, okay, if I'm the best racer, I'm just the best racer, period. It doesn't matter if that's on PS4, PC, Atari 2600, anything. You're the best, which I think is really cool watching these races.
Well, that's the beauty, ironically, of Logitech's equipment. So with the G29 steering wheel, you can use it on PlayStation 4 and you can use it on PC. And the G920 is the opposite. You can use it on Xbox and PC. So, these guys are obviously, it's PlayStation 4 and PC only. So if you've got a G29, you are in absolute business here where you can compete on both. So you just need to go out there and buy the game and you're all good. So, very, very interesting to see this, but it's just not, it's very easily transferable for someone like Operator, who is clearly the quickest guy here, 1:24.0 flat here.
Yeah.
But in a race, slipstream is a big factor here with the big long straight that he's just going on to now. And then when you get around turn number 4, there's through turn 5, which is a chicane, onto the back straight. There's opportunities where people can stick with you. So in qualifying, it's all about you. It's all about you against the clock. But in the race, you can use the car in front of you to drag you along if you like. So there's lots of opportunities for everybody else just to keep themselves involved in this race.
Right, and that's one of the cool things too is just like looking at the time trials right now, I think like the first week there were some pretty big gaps in seconds, between positions, but everything's slowly narrowing down. And of course, we also added those practice lobbies, which is a new addition to the G Challenge, where people there's an open lobby advertised as, the Logitech G Challenge, and that's the track that's going to be in the upcoming competition. So people can get on and practice and get familiar with the course, and also have other people on the course driving and giving tips and exchanging information. So yeah, the field is slowly narrowing. I mean, like we see now, even though Operator's still out in front, Sauce really isn't that far behind.
No, absolutely not. Sauce is, he's come from absolutely nowhere in my books, from someone who's got a huge background in Project Cars 2, but we're finally actually seeing him up against someone who we know is right at the top level. So it's really good to see, he is performing at the level he has performing. But just to go to the practice lobbies, there's a lot of you guys out there, or girls, who are like, I don't know if I'm good enough to race at esports level. This is your opportunity now. We're going to be running daily practice lobbies where you can just see where you stack up. And you'll be able to see via times or positions you keep finishing against the same drivers throughout the week, your improvements. Then you think, do you know what? I'm really going to give this a go. There's an opportunity here for me. And you just never know how good you are until you really put yourself out there. Don't worry about what people think about you. As long as you're racing cleanly and within the rules, just go out there, put yourself in that position, and you just never know where it might lead. Even look at this as a stepping stone for you in the future. Make this your first opportunity in esports. That's how I see it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And again, a very welcoming, community that the racing community is in general. So that's one of the things too. And also, you might feel like you're not going to be able to qualify, but keep in mind as those qualifier spots fill up. So Operator, though he's racing on both platforms, he just has that one qualifier spot on PC, or like Driver 13, who qualified the first week, that if he finishes in that top 3 again, those qualifying spots move down. So you might think you don't have a spot in those first 3 positions, but you still might have a spot qualifying because those spots are taken up by other drivers. So, people really have a better shot than I think they think.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is a new territory we're moving into as well. So a lot of these people would never have even entertained the idea of esports. But now we're in America, we're in Canada, we're going to try and produce some talent from that region. Well, talking about talent, Smashing Apex Operator, of course, is on pole position. He did improve by another half a second there, Frank. And Source is actually still on a flying lap here, so he might be able to improve. I think a 23.5 might be a bit of a stretch here for Source, but if he can prove me wrong, that'd be fantastic. Across the line, he will go here. And he does not find any extra time. We've then got Little Regret. Can he improve and push himself up? No, he cannot. And then we've got Dark King. Dark King didn't improve as well. So Operator, who has been so dominant on PC, is again come over to PlayStation here, Frank, and become a very dominant force once again.
Yeah, still being dominant. And, like you brought up last qualifier, those kind of numbers you see are, equate to the driver's skill on that platform. So it looks like just based on Smashing Apex, aka Operator's numbers, he might favor that PC platform a little bit. But we know that little rank by his name is deceiving with how well he's been performing on PC. But it's cool to see X-Wolf. I know we've seen him in a couple lobbies before. I don't think he's qualified just yet. But this week looking very strong. He's sitting in that 3rd position. But Driver 13, of course, another little almost tragedy that happened during Qualifier 2. Qualified with a high time during the time trial, but then straight out of the gate ended up flipping his car and was unable to finish. So he's another driver to look out for. But then we've got new faces like Little Regret. We haven't seen him yet, but he's sitting in that 5th position. Zebra, who we saw qualify last week as well, now down in 7th. So it's really interesting to see how everything sort of stacks up and even shifts from week to week. But it's going to be really cool to see once we wave that flag where everything kind of settles out.
Yeah, of course. Well, we know that X-Wolf hasn't already qualified, but he's got 2 drivers around him in Source and driver 13. They are both already in the regional finals. So there's a little bit of a buffer there for him.
Yeah.
And they probably won't be taking as many chances as what he would likely be able to do as well. But we're going to round out the top 10 here then and get straight involved in our first race here. It's PlayStation 4 first, and then we head on to PC straight after this race. So Smashing Apex is on pole. THR Operator is his name. Source then is in second, already qualified for our regional final. X-Wolf then is in P3 on the grid. Driver 13, another one who's already qualified for our regional finals, P4. Little regret, first ever event here with the Logitech G Challenge USA, and he's got himself a top 5. Great effort from him. Airstrike then, one of the brothers is in P6. The Zebra already qualified P7. The second Airstrike brother then is in P8. Dark King he's already qualified as well, by the way. So he's in P9. And we've got M10 PSI rounding out our top 10. We've got ourselves 20 minutes of action here then at Indianapolis Road Course. It will go from day into nighttime here. We've got to wait for them to ready up. And Frank, this should prove to be an exceptional race for us to watch.
Yeah, I mean, each week I think that excitement just really builds and builds because we're getting familiar with a lot of these drivers. We know what to expect out of them. We know some drivers who might be taking more risks than others, maybe driving a little more dirty than others. So as we see these characters develop, that anticipation builds alongside it. While we know which drivers are very strong, we know Operator is very strong. Sauce looks strong as well, but you never really know how things are going to go until things start up on the track. We've seen last qualifier, a tremendous double overtake from Blotchy Boy, which we'll highlight as well during the break between PS4 and PC. Just moment to moment on the track, things change so fast, can happen so quick. I mean, in the blink of an eye, you can be looking at a 1, 2, and 3 position completely different by the time the race finishes. So I'm falling in love with these races, and I love the opportunity that the G Challenge has kind of provided with that.
Absolutely. It's the only esport out there you can have a direct effect on somebody negatively. So we've got 3 seconds to go here. We've got 3 red lights. It goes green at Indianapolis. This is the Logitech G USA Challenge, round number 3, or qualifier number 3, and we are off here. And it looks like, Smashing Apex has got a pretty decent start here. You can see in the red car on the outside. A little bit of contact there. Battling for, jostling for, second position? 3 wide into turn number 1. And wow, who's that coming through the middle? That is driver 13, who's made a nice sneaky move through the middle. And actually, how are they all still alive after that? Fair play to them. 3 wide into any corner, especially turn 1. Never ends well normally, but they've done well here. Source in P3 here. X-Wolf in P4. And actually, the Zebra's just made a move here. X-Wolf down to P6. And now they're going to come through this flat-out chicane here. And it's so difficult to go side by side. And actually, they've got through there nicely. And now the Zebra has made a nice bit of space for himself for airstrike. But look at the cluster of cars here, all jostling for position. X-Wolf is being absolutely swamped here by so many different cars. And they go in 3 wide again, down towards turn number 7. And a little bit of adjustment position up the inside here. And look at that little regret then. It's gone up the inside, and he's actually spun around X-Wolf, one of the favourites to go through. And he's now in what? P10. Whoa. No, it wasn't X-Wolf.
It was Zebra.
Was it Zebra? Oh, it was the Zebra. So the Zebra then was right up the front end of this race here. Has now had a big problem here, and he's actually down into P13. You see the X-Wolf there's out on the outside, and unfortunately he's going to get hung out to dry here. Zebra gone up for a double move now at the inside, and actually gets closed onto the apex there. Never good. And me being X-Wolf in behind these guys, they're racing very aggressively here. Let them do what they need to do. You see that they're almost spinning there and losing complete. They're losing their marbles at this point, Frank, as well. You can see, with only a 20-minute race being down in P13, knowing only the top 2 qualify for the regional finals, they've got to start making their move.
Yeah, and that's something to consider too. So, during the first qualifier, as word's getting out about the Logitech G Challenge USA division, these lobbies are filling up. I think today there was only 1 empty spot that could have been filled in the lobby prior to the race. So there's a lot more cars on the track too that some of these drivers might not be used to. We've mentioned in the previous weeks how some players are just, they consider themselves good, but it's just in the time trial aspect. But once you get out on a live track in a real competition with other drivers around you, things change very quickly. Contact starts occurring, and it becomes a whole different atmosphere to race in. But that's one of the beautiful things about the Logitech G Challenge as well, is that it gets you that esports competitive aspect and experience. But yeah, when there's almost double the amount of cars out on the course, things get a little tighter, things get a little trickier. So I think we're seeing some of that kind of happen out on the track today.
Well, I'm on board now with X-Wolf here, and again, he's one of the favourites for me to go through, judging by his pace. I know him very, very well indeed. And also we've got in 10th position, the Zebra, who's already qualified. So I wanted to see how quickly they can make their way through the pack here. We're on board again with X-Wolf. I mean, he's taking the same line in here as Zebra. He's obviously raced against the Zebra before in week number 1, knows that the Zebra's got a fair bit of pace here. I'll tell you what, though, the Zebra's just lost it completely there. There he has, he's dropped it, lost the rear of the car. And, well, the last place you want to make a mistake is just before you go into a big, long straight. You lose so much speed, and you can see that they are off into the distance here. X-Wolf then was late on the brakes in the previous turn number 1. And can he get the move done here? No, he can't. So he's been a bit patient, which is the right way to do things. But right now, for him to be in the top 2 here, Frank, he needs to get 12 seconds. He needs to gain 12 seconds in about 16 minutes. So nearly a second a minute at this point. So, yeah, it's going to be a tough ask for him to get there, especially as it's not just him against the track, it's him against other cars as well.
Right. But to keep in mind, too, just kind of looking at that 1, 2, and 3 position, obviously Smashing Apex has not qualified on PS4 yet, but the 2 and 3 position, I think that's Sauce and Driver 13, they already have those qualifying positions. So when you factor that in, drivers like X-Wolf don't have as much ground to make up, and I think he's worked his way into about the 10th position here. So that's just something to keep in mind watching going forward, that if you already qualified, that spot is kind of up for grabs, if you will.
Well, these guys here, so Airstrike 1989 and, of course, Little Regret, those are the 2 battling now for that last position qualifier. Again, just to reiterate, guys, the money is still on the line. So regardless of whether you've already qualified or not, right now, Smashing Apex is going to get himself $250. Second spot, Source is going to get himself $150, and then we're going to see Driver 13 pick up the $100. So it's vital that you can see that Driver 13 is not going to settle for 3rd spot. He's trying to make a position up here. Source lovely late on the brakes there on the inside line, and actually gets a nice Apex on the exit as well, and manages to hold on.
Yeah. But of course, it's, I think the story here too is that Smashing Apex, aka THR Operator, so far ahead again. He just kind of makes it a race for 2nd place whenever he's entered the competition. I believe it was all the weeks really. We've seen him just so confident, so smooth, but he puts himself in a position to where he doesn't really have to worry about the pack either. He can just, almost take it easy, sit back and relax a little bit. Obviously, he doesn't want to make any mistakes, but he doesn't have to worry about other drivers around him when he's so far out in ahead.
Yeah, of course, he does all the hard work in qualification, which is, the perfect situation to do. Lewis Hamilton in Formula 1 is the best at that. So, yeah, it's just getting, at the front, getting a nice clean start, make sure you get to turn number 1 well. But it's still hard work to do that. You still got to make sure you get your start, nailed. You've got to make sure that you drop the clutch at the right time. You can't bog down. If you do bog down, other people around you are going to swamp you. You're going to get put into the middle of the pack. Then it becomes a very, very difficult task. So there's so many different aspects here that Operator is well in sync with. We're on board with Driver 13 here, though, trying to battle for that $150. An extra $50 right now. He can make this overtake here. But again, it's just not quite close enough here to Source. And Source is, after 2 weeks, he's looking like a veteran at this now. Although there's a big mistake there by Driver 13, and that is not how you make an overtake. I think Source is back up the inside, though. No problem whatsoever. Yeah, he's going to be fuming, but he's all good. Not lost a spot there. And if anything, to be fair, Driver 13 may have lost a few tenths there at the very least. But this is perfect now for people like X-Wolf, who are now in P7, by the way. The Zebra in P8. It's perfect these 2 guys going side by side. So that means they cannot go around the track on the perfect line, so they're losing time every single time they go around the circuit. So that's exactly what we actually can see. X-Wolf here, he's not that close in behind them, but the Airstrike brothers are very close indeed. So Airstrike 1 then is in P6, but Airstrike 1989 is starting to close onto the back here of Little Regret, and if they can work together here, they might be able to close in on Driver 13 and Source.
Yeah, and I gotta say, I gotta get up for Little Regret, who's, someone we haven't seen racing before, but he comes out, shows up, and he's performing extremely well now. Seeing him in that 4th position and holding on to it, racing with a couple of veteran, I guess, players who we've seen at least in previous qualifiers behind him. So I gotta give it up for him. And again, yeah, he's working his way towards potentially getting in that 3rd position, which will net him not only a qualifying spot in our regional final, but also that $100. So yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see how it shakes out for him kind of going forward.
Who's this, Driver 13?
Yeah, so the Little Regret being, right behind him.
Little Regret being, closest. About 4
and
seconds.
who we haven't seen him before, though. So
exactly, yeah. There's an opportunity here for him. He officially is in a qualification position right now. That was a mistake there by Source through the chicane. And, well, driver 13 has not lost out there. It's gained a position there, actually. And just that's all it takes with the quality of those two drivers. They're at a very similar level. One small mistake can completely cost you, well, right now, $50.
Right, yeah, $50 between that second and third position, of course. And I just like what we're seeing. The battles are getting more intense for sure as these qualifiers kind of go on. Before we saw maybe a little shakiness out of the drivers, especially in week 1 and on PS4. Not that things looked a little rough, but it didn't look as clean as it does now. Now you're starting to get
is that a penalty?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, it's a penalty. Driver 13 then must have had a slowdown penalty. He must have run wide there out of turn 8, and he's actually flashed his lights there to let the source go through. And there's 2 reasons for that. One, he's a great sportsman. He's got great sportsmanship. Or 2, he knows that if he kind of tries to hold up the source, they're both going to lose time to the people behind them. So it's more important to finish in the top 3 in the money than potentially be put down into P4. So good by him. I'm going to go for the sportsmanship direction, just to put him over that little bit more. But I tell you what, the X-Wolf was following the Zebra. Now the Zebra's having to follow X-Wolf, just falling off the pace here a little bit. I just think they're a little bit too far back now, Frank. We're just nearly at the halfway point of this race, and I think it's going to be very tough for them now to get themselves back involved in the podium hunt.
Yeah, and again, it's one of those things. They might be out of those top 3 positions, but the experience, we've seen how valuable that can be to these racers here out on the track. It's tough to get, until this opportunity really, experience with other drivers out on a course where everyone is gunning for those top spots. It's a different environment than, just leisurely, racing in a community or public lobby or something like that. There's a lot at stake and a lot on the line. Again, these qualifiers, as they move forward, they have a shot with a professional esports contract with the McLaren Shadow Project. And of course, we've seen like the last year's Logitech G Challenge champion, Igor Fraga, go on and win that as well. So the experience they get, even though they might not be in those top positions, is invaluable going forward, because we've got qualifiers going all the way through until September. So there's plenty of opportunities. I think it was only something like 6. We've only filled 6 out of the total spots for PS4. So there's still a lot of time for these players to get that experience and really elevate their game until those global finals. And so while they might not be, gunning for the money, there's still valuable lessons to be learned.
I think you made a fantastic point there. There's an opportunity for these guys to gain experience at this level. But I think what we're seeing the same names that I've never seen before, considering my expertise within the game.
Right.
But because they're signing up every single week, they're the ones that you're seeing at the top. The cream is rising to the top. Their experience levels are getting better and better. They're becoming quicker and quicker because of this. So, I just think it's vital that everybody just gives this a go. You've got, what have you got to lose, really, realistically? You know what I mean? You've got nothing to lose, everything to gain, and you never know. You could be the next Igor Fraga. You could be the next Jamie Chadwick. And also, if there's any young ladies out there who are like, oh, this looks like such a male-dominated sport, come and get involved. Trust me, you'll absolutely love it. Sim racing is so inclusive. Anybody can race at this level, if you put the hard work in, but you also have to have that natural talent, which you won't know about until you actually put yourself out there.
Right, it's kind of the great equalizer, right? It's not necessarily a team sport or other esport like Call of Duty, or something like NBA 2K or something like that. It's just you and the car and the track. Sure, there's other racers around you, and you have to deal with that, but you can really improve really second by second. You can watch your skill improve just by how fast you're able to complete a lap around the track. And just to plug it again, if you're on the fence thinking, well, this looks interesting, but how do I get involved? Head to actualvision.com/GChallengeUSA. You'll get all the information there, but not only that, you can join the Discord, which is extremely helpful in getting people set up. I've witnessed it firsthand with new racers, coming in and saying, hey, can people help me with my settings, this and that? So not only is the Discord there to support you, we've added the practice lobbies. Now you can just get out on the track with other people for the upcoming qualifier and just work on improving your time. So if you're even considering it, there's really no excuse now. We've made sure that there's no excuse for you to have any hesitation with getting involved. And I will, for one, vouch for the just awesome community that is the e-racing community. I mean, everyone's helpful. No real, people kind of leave it out on the track, right? We saw during the last qualifier, there were some bumps and bruises. Driver 13's car ended up getting flipped. And while he might have been heated in that moment, back in the Discord after the race, everyone's, pals. It's nothing personal. Once the race is over, kind of any bad blood dissipates there, and it's on to the next one. So yeah, I really encourage anyone with even the mildest bit of interest to get involved. I do not think you'll regret it.
Absolutely. Again, look at this. This is what you want to be involved in. We're watching racing right now. Zebra and X-Wolf. Zebra's already through at this point, and right now he needs to 8 seconds. X-Wolf needs to find on Little Regrets. A Little Regret. He's got no regrets for this because he is currently qualifying for the regional final at the first time of asking, because the two drivers in front of him, driver 13 and Source, they are both already through. So he's just come in and thought, you know what, I'm going to give this a go. And look at it. He's got the talent. He's figured out. And also he's got, now what? We're in the third week of 8. He's got 5 more weeks then to improve again for the actual regional final, so you can keep competing after you've already qualified. So come and get yourselves involved. Look at the guys a bit further back here. Snakey then looking for, he divides opinion, this guy, Snakey, up the inside then. Can he make a potential move here on Dark King? And I think he has. Dark King cannot turn in there. Snakey gets his car nicely in the way and becomes quite comprehensive. And you see these guys are still battling down in positions 13, 12, and 11. So they're actually right in behind Renow at this point. So you can see that there's such a competitive nature amongst the whole grid.
Yeah, it's one of those things, right? Even though, last place is not a non-competitive position, even in a way, because you still have a chance for an overtake, and you're still kind of in your own little pack. You can still work on getting around players or just getting that experience, that feel for being out on the track with other people, and as well as that time change. So as you see that sun start to set, the track also changes a little bit. Tires get a little more slippery, a little bit harder to hold on. So that might
becomes a whole different race.
Yeah,
it's genuinely like starting a whole new lobby. The way that the temperature drops off here, your tires become, they're not as rubbered into the circuit. They become very cold. So again, it is like driving on ice, and you've got to be your inputs have got to be more minimal. They've got to be more direct as well. It's a real strange situation to be in, but again, we're trying to test these guys at different aspects within their driving style to find the best to qualify for the regional final, then on to the world final. We're trying to find stars that no one have heard of before. And right now we are seeing some new names. We're seeing here Snakey is trying to make his second overtake then in exactly the same position. He did this last time, but he had to go the inside. Can he go around the outside then? The Brazilian lives in America. He does. Reno on the brakes really early here. And Snakey does hang on to it on the exit there. And 2 laps in a row, Snakey makes his way up into from P13 to P11. And again, he's not going to be taking any money home with him, but he's going to be taking a lot of bragging rights here. And again, in future races, these guys, it looks like they may have had some accidents. He can lean on that in the future, because these guys might be near the front next week, and he's like, well, I've got their number. I managed to do it last week, so there's no reason to suggest I can't do it this week.
Right, exactly. And that's one of the cool things. We kind of hinted at it earlier. Don't compare yourself to say, oh, well, I'm not as fast as, operator, so I've got no shot, I'm not going to enter. It's more of a personal thing, right? It's about how can I improve from week to week. If you we've got 8 of these qualifiers, right? If you shave a couple seconds off each week, well, hey, then you're in the running. You're in that top 5. You're probably not only just fighting for a qualifying position, you're also in the running for that money as well. So it's all about those minuscule improvements that we're going to see add up over time, just like we've seen with the drivers here. We saw, drivers like the Zebra, drivers like Snakey, even Dark King. Just make those small improvements that slowly add up. Of course, we've got our front runners, smashing Apex, Sauce, and Driver 13 in those 1, 2, and 3 positions. But everyone else has room for improvement, which is that we'll see, add up all the way through September. So there's just so much opportunity. I really can't, stress it enough that being in the bottom of the pack this week has no bearing on, 4 events from now, because you can see yourself in that top 5 if you just focus on your own small improvements.
Yeah, exactly. Well, we're looking at the complete opposite here of the Zebra, who's started strong, but he's not having the strongest of races here because other people have gone, do you know what? I fancy my chances at this. I can do this.
Right.
So yeah, there's plenty of Snakey, by the way, is back down to P13. So he is on the back here of Reno, and He is yo-yoing around right now. Bit of a mistake there by Reno, and I think that these guys are all starting to struggle. Well, Reno's just done a whole 360 pirouette there, and they're just struggling with the conditions right now. But with 2 minutes 30 seconds to go, he's had no camera time. But THR operator, who's doing double duty today, by the way, he will be racing in the second race as well, is currently leading this race by 13.3 seconds. Source then is in P2 here, and we have then got driver 13 who is in P3. So Smashing Apex, he will be the one that qualifies for the PlayStation 4 regional final. And right now in P4, it will be little regret because Source and driver 13 have both already qualified. But like we said before, the top 3 will get paid. So it's $250 for first, $150 for second, and $100 for third. Even if you've already qualified, you still do qualify to earn that money. Airstrike, one of the Airstrike brothers, Airstrike 989, is in P5 then. And actually, they are the bread of an X-Wolf sandwich at this point, because X-Wolf is in P6, and the other Airstrike brother is in P7. It's not going to be X-Wolf's day here, and I think we may... With the accident we did see down in towards turn number 8, there's quite a few cars involved, so I think we might see our first official report from someone at the end of this race, because there was a few involved. Unless, like you said, Frank, they might be able to just talk it out.
Right, yeah, and that's even after last qualifier's race, we saw Snakey making a little bit of contact, and they ended up just talking it out and kind of coming to terms with it. But there is that dispute system as well, and there's also, I think there was perhaps the time penalties too, which sometimes you'll see pop up, getting like a second penalty for certain moves you take out on the track. But yeah, I mean, it's awesome seeing, was it Little Regret now in that 4th position, and
yeah,
the Airstrike brothers kind of slowly inching their way up. I think they were a little bit lower in the pack during that last qualifier, but they seem to have held on to some better lines here today, so they see themselves in contention for those qualifying positions.
They've done really well today. I'm expecting to see them qualify over the 8 weeks at some point. It's just not to be today. I'm really impressed with Little Regret. He's my driver of the day today. Hopefully he managed to hang on. This is the pressure now. Again, he's never been in this environment before. So it's one thing, lapping comfortably in the quick laps, but it's getting across that line. It's the pressure. And actually, you can see that the guys behind him are now only 4 seconds and 5 seconds respectively, which is Airstrike and X-Wolf. And with one more lap remaining, where is Smashing Apex? Yes, we're going to have another lap remaining here for Little Regret. So we're going to stay on board with him here. And he can afford to take a couple of seconds off his time. But that's where, if you do indeed lose concentration, you can lose, the complete ability to go around a circuit. It's normally better to go flat out, but it's a very fine line. So can he hang on here? Again, it's going to be no money for him, but it's going to be a qualification passage into our regional final. 1 lap remains then for Little Regret. Can he hang on? X-Wolf, by the way, is now right up in behind Airstrike here. Airstrike 1989. Not quite close enough, really, to indeed take advantage. So let's go on board them a Little Regret. It's got 1 lap to go here. And again, Frank, for your first ever esports venture to qualify for a regional final for a company such as Logitech, that is huge.
Yeah, and I think I just got update too from some of our tournament operations guys. I want to say, and we'll double and triple check on this, but I think the ruling, because operator already has qualified on PC, he can't qualify on PS4 as well, because if you think about how we're seeding into those regional and global finals, it's going to be 1 from PS4 and 1 from PC. So that opens up another qualifying position for these PS4 racers. So all 3 positions, I guess, then, Smashing Apex, Sauce, and Driver 13 have all already qualified, whether it's on PS4 or in operator's case, PC. So
well, this becomes vital then.
Yeah,
this battle here becomes absolutely vital here. So X-Wolf or Airstrike 989 are going to qualify here, but which one is it going to be? Smashing Apex has won the race. Source will finish in second, Driver 13 third, and I think Little Regret's going to get 4th here. But it's between now X-Wolf here and Airstrike. Airstrike just has to take 2 more corners here perfectly, and he is golden. He's going to get his golden ticket to the regional final. But right now, X-Wolf 1 corner to go. And it looks like Airstrike has hit the apex perfectly there. And it is going to be Airstrike that will be qualifying through then. See the flash of the lights there from X-Wolf. Probably to congratulate Airstrike in the front of him. But yeah, that is our top 6 then. The other Airstrike brother is going to finish down in P7. But we need to give it to the top 3 here. Smashing Apex once again. Absolutely destroying the field here. That's another $250 in his back pocket. Source with the $150 already qualified, remember, for the regional finals. We've then got Driver 13, who is in 3rd spot. Again, already qualified. So it's going to be Little Regret 265 and Airstrike 1989. So 2 new names, Frank, for our regional final.
Yeah, I mean, awesome stuff to see. And again, I can't emphasize it enough that it's so cool that so many of these racers just, I mean, for putting in the effort and the consistency, are going to have a shot at those global finals because they are going to qualify as names sort of bump down. Even though that 1, 2, and 3 position is always going to be those money spots, the qualifying positions can move around. So that's an awesome race that we just saw on PS4. There's your kind of final list there, your top 10 on stream right now. But there's another round of drivers, of course, coming up on PC. So we're not done yet. But before we head, well, we are going to head to a quick break. But during that break, we're also going to let you guys check out last qualifier's play of the race. So stay tuned. With the return of some familiar faces from our first online qualifier, we weren't sure what the field would have in store for us during our second online qualifier for the Logitech G Challenge. But it soon became clear when Blotchy Boy had a tremendous double overtake in the opening laps on Hockenheim, earning him this week's Logitech G Challenge Play of the Race.
Late move here. We've got a move up the inside there by Blashy Boy, and he gets it stuck. It's a brilliant move. And actually looking for a double here. Can he go the long way round of Dave Carr? I think he's going to have the momentum. He's going to come into the stadium section here. He's going to still be too wide in towards the stadium section here. Dave Carr on the inside. Blashy Boy round the long way. I think he's going to run out of track. No, he's not. He's on the brakes nicely. He's definitely got the one position stuck here. He's up the inside then of Dave Carr. Can he get it done? And he does. The double move there for Blashy Boy. Take a bow, because that is absolutely glorious.
Wow, incredible. From the PS4 division, Sauce and fan favorite The Zebra qualified for our USA Division regional finals. And from the PC division, while THR Operator and Max A Power finished in first and second, it was Racer 66, Blotchy Boy, and Kumori who earned their place amongst last week's drivers. These winners will be moving on to have their chance to compete against Europe, Asia Pacific, and Latin America on land in our global final, where just one winner from all divisions will earn their chance to compete in the finals of the McLaren Shadow Project. If you think you have what it takes to compete, you can register for free at actualvision.com/GChallengeUSA, and you can tune in Sunday, July 14th at mixer.com/TeamBeyondNet to check out the action live. All right, guys, welcome back to the PC portion of the Logitech G Challenge for your USA region. Let's touch on the format again real quick, and then we'll get into this race. So right now, you guys are watching our regional qualifier, where racers are trying to qualify for our regional final. So coming up next, we'll be racing to find out who our next 3 racers are going to be from that PC division. But again, there's also cash on the line with each of these qualifiers today. So first place is going to be winning $250, second place winning $150, and third place winning $100 as well. So once you're qualified for that regional final, you'll be amongst our top 40 drivers in the USA division, where just one PC racer and one PS4 racer will be battling it out for that $1,000, a Logitech G product bundle worth $800 in prizes, and a travel package to our Logitech G Challenge Global Final. So with this second PC race, we'll again be racing on the same Indianapolis Motor Speedway road course for this PC regional qualifier. So while we're checking out these time trials, Luke, any familiar faces or anyone you see that we should be keeping an eye out for today's PC race?
Well, we've got X-Wolf and Operator from the PlayStation 4 race, and Snakey, I believe, as well. But yeah, the THR boys are the ones to watch out for. They've been the quickest thus far. Dave Carr as well will be someone to watch out for. But I'll tell you what, let's have a look at what cars all these drivers are in, shall we?
Yeah, let's do it.
So let's get all of these drivers through here. So we're on board with Wildwind, but you can see that flip mode then. Andy Berg from the United States of America is back here. He wants to try and qualify here today. Next driver then in the number 13 is Freaky Naughty from Canada. And unfortunately, because of a storm where he lives, he cannot race. So he's not available. Okay. Sav H, he is actually Indian from the United States of America. He's raced in my leagues for quite a while now, but it's his first attempt at an esports event, and he's actually quite quick as well. We've then got X-Wolf, of course, from the United States of America. He's in the number 6 this time. We just saw him on PlayStation 4. Can he have a better result on PC? We've then got Max A Power from the United States of America. Of course, he qualified in week number 1. The nicest guy in the competition so far, by our admission there, Frank.
Yeah.
We've got Snakey once again then from Brazil, racing on PC as well. And yeah, he is in that number 11 livery. We've got Fat Matt smoking barbecue. He is called Matthew Kuiper, and he is from the United States of America. He's in the Vodafone number 2 livery. Dano LP, unfortunately, due to the same storm, he is not able to race here today either. So we had 16 drivers, we've only got 14 in the race. We've then got Sahil 06. He is from the United States of America. He's in the number 54. It's his first race with us here in the Logitech G USA Challenge. Then we've got Blashy Boy, who was the move of the day last time out 2 weeks ago. He is from the United States of America. We have next up 59, Karting 18. He is from Canada, so another Canadian resident. Starting to get more and more Canadians come in this competition as the weeks do indeed go on, which is great to see. Racer 66 already qualified has Chris. He is from the United States of America, and he is gunning for some money. Cash monies. Masama 002, he is from the United States of America, and he is in the number 9, the yellow and blue livery on your screen. Then we've got Dave Carr 10, another Canadian. He is in the number 58. THR Wildwind then, he is a recruitment manager for THR, and he is from the United States of America, and the number 59 already qualified, so he's here for the cash monies as well. And then we've got Operator, winner of our PlayStation 4 race, already qualified on PC. Can he make it $500 in one day? There you go.
Yeah, so $500 in one day, not a bad way to spend your weekend, if you ask me. But again, keep in mind, you can only qualify basically once, right? So whether that's on PS4 or PC, you can only take up one qualifying spot. That way we get the most amount of opportunity out there and kind of fill those spots evenly. So with that in mind, the last qualifier that we saw, since the THR guys and Max A Power, names like that had already qualified, we actually saw Racer 66, Blashy Boy, and Kumori qualified previously. So those spots, if we see them, finish in those top spots again, those spots are going to bump down. So
of course,
it'll be interesting to see. We've got some more Canadian names in the lobby today, so I'm glad that awareness is kind of spreading north from the States here, and that we're getting some fresh faces. But of course, you see Operator, just the consistently quick driving. I'm excited to see if we'll ever see him not finish in that first position. It's going to be a tough ask, but of course, if we do see that, that would be absolutely incredible.
Well, he's one of the very top drivers in the world, so
right.
He actually has raced at the world level on Project Cars 2 in multiple esports events. So, this being for him to qualify as one of the top boys around the world, the United States and Canada is going to kind of be more of a piece of cake, if you like, because this is such a new region that we're trying to reach out to. So it's a big opportunity here for him, but there's a big benchmark for everyone else. So everyone else has got something to chase. He has nothing to chase at the end of the day, apart from money, of course. I guess that's quite a good thing to chase, but he doesn't have anyone to,
everyone's chasing him.
At this present time, like the improvement he can do is very minimal, whereas everyone below him, they actually have a genuine time they can chase and look at. So he's actually just gone quicker again, by the way. He's now done a 120.8, which is actually 0.3 of a second slower than what he was on PlayStation 4. So I'm expecting him to go a little bit quicker as this session does indeed go on. Max A Power then is in P2 here. Racer, actually, hold on. Sarv then back up into P2 himself. 0.6 of a second off the pace here. Max A Power in third. We've then got Racer, who's already qualified along with Max. And I'll tell you what, Chonk Taxi, who is that? Because they have come in and put it onto the second row of the grid.
The Chonk Taxi out of nowhere. Man, if I had a dollar for every time I said that sentence, I'd have $1.
Oh yeah, I quite regularly go to my local Chonk Taxi service.
And he showed up here today. He must have gotten word. I appreciate you putting out or spreading the word on that one. So yeah, I mean the new faces keep pouring in. So that's obviously very exciting, and that's the great thing about the format as well, is that the new faces almost have just an equal opportunity to qualify, since those positions are taken away. But the real question is, do those drivers have what it takes to get into those money positions? Because that's where a lot of that excitement is. But it looks like 2 and 3, I believe, are the 2 and 3 positions held by new names today. It looks like it.
Well, the operators in P1. Of course, but we've got Starve and then Chonk Taxi in P3, so it's really interesting. And I'll tell you what, like being only 0.8 of a second off, and it's your first esports event with us, like that's really, really good. I'll tell you what, that's such a clean line through the second to last corner here, around the final one, and I wouldn't be surprised here if Chonk has managed to get another couple of tenths here and potentially get himself onto that front row of the grid. X-Wolf up to P4 now, ahead of Max Power and Racer 66, and wow, there you go, Chonk did not improve. But still 3 minutes here to go, Frank. Plenty of time for these guys to all improve.
Right. And I believe that X-Wolf spot 2, and again, we'll make sure to get clarification on everything, but since he just qualified on PlayStation 4...
He didn't qualify as Airstrike. There's only 2 people that qualify on PlayStation 4.
Oh, okay, so he wasn't in that 2 and 3. Okay, so so it's good that he's in that 4th position. We'll have to see if he can hit that qualifying spot. So I was going to say, it is tough, keeping track of every spot that is qualified and making sure, but I was going to say if he had already qualified on PS4, then that spot would be open for him on this platform here, but since he's still fighting for it, we'll have to see how he finishes up here today.
Yeah, we just had a disconnection by the looks of things, unfortunately. Wildwind then up to P4, so we've displaced X-Wolf here. Wildwind has already qualified. Remember, 3 people will indeed qualify from this lobby as it is PC. So right now, Sarv, Chonk, and X-Wolf, they're the top 3 here. And actually, X-Wolf has got Max Power and Racer 66 and Dave Carr. They've all already qualified. So X-Wolf's got a nice little buffer here. So it could be a very, very... I think it's weird, though, because if you can only qualify on one platform, you've got to be which one's the quickest platform, which one's the easiest one to, if you get to the final, you've got an easier chance of winning it. Right. Like, it's got to be tactics to play. So, does X-Wolf want to qualify? PC is obviously the quicker of the 2 platforms from the quality of driver we've seen thus far. Is it worth qualifying on PC if you've got an opportunity on PlayStation 4? There's a lot of tactics going to be played here.
Yeah, so I think you just go for that qualifying spot kind of regardless, right? But, based on the experience of drivers, of course, in week 1, we'll take that for an example. Obviously, like PS4, you probably had a better shot to qualify because we saw so many of the THR guys racing on PC. But as we see that crossover kind of start to occur, and people are performing in multiple races, multiple qualifiers, then it kind of evens out. And the other thing to keep in mind as well is as these races start to fill up, of course we've seen, more and more entrants from week to week, then heats start to come into play. So you won't just be seeing one race happening, you'll have to battle it out throughout the day and make sure you're in the top percentage of finishers to move on from race to race and then make it to the final race of the day to get your chance to qualify. So yeah, there's sort of this ever-evolving strategy alongside the ever-improving experience of these players to where I think end of the day, you're just trying to perform your best out there, right? If you have the opportunity to perform or race on both platforms, you might as well shoot for it. But once you do qualify, then I think you're in that position, and then you're just going for that experience aspect, right? Trying to improve on personal times and just improve your own performance throughout the qualifiers. So it is interesting to think about, though. There's a lot more that goes into not only just you and your car and the track, but then there's platforms, there's the other racers, around you. Even, thinking of like track to track, whether or not certain drivers perform better in certain, positions on certain tracks. So there's a lot going on, more than just meets the eye here with these races.
Yeah, absolutely. X-Wolf, by the way, up to P2, so whatever I'm saying, he's not listening. He wants to qualify. That is for sure. Just to let everybody know as well, next 2 weeks' time, the competition's being moved back 3 hours. So it's going to start a lot later in the afternoon. Frank, I will let you do the American time because me trying to convert is not good while we're live.
I think the math on stream is always a dangerous scenario. So what I will say in that case is follow at Team Beyond Net on Twitter because that's our sort of live update platform where you'll get links. The exact times will be tweeted out and everything with regards to that. So, whether it's registration times, sign up times, race start times, or stream start times, that's your best probably resource, as well as teambeyond.net online or actualvision.com/GChallengeUSA. There's all the qualifying dates, and I believe the times will be reflected there as well. But yeah, it is going to be pushed back so that our West Coast drivers won't have to be up so early in the morning. They can get a little bit of increased rest time, maybe wake up, have an extra cup of coffee. So we'll see if that improves their times at all. But yeah, that's a good thing to note is that next week's qualifier will be starting 3 hours from when today's qualifier started.
Yep, absolutely. Well, we've got our top 10 here. We've got THR Operator, of course, on pole. X-Wolf is in second. Then Sav is in third. Chonk Taxi is in fourth. THR Wildwood is in fifth. Max A Power is in P6. Racer in P7. We've got Flip Mode for THR in P8. We've got Dave Carr in P9. Blashy Boy in P10. Then we've got Snakey in P11. We've got Lucas Quiocho, who is in P12. And then Sahil is in 13th position. So it's race time here, Frank. Second race of today's stream. And I'm hoping there's a little bit more action here. Hoping that these guys are able to follow each other a little bit better. But again, it's a 20-minute timed race. These guys have got 2 minutes to hit that ready up button. And well, again, I'm very much looking forward to a barnstormer of a race.
Yeah, and I just let someone else do the math for me, so I have an update on those times real quick. It's going to be 2 p.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Pacific. So those are the official start times going forward for the qualifiers here. And again, there's those open lobbies that you can practice in throughout the week. So yeah, that's just the official word. Wanted to get that out of the way before I, said the wrong thing and then everyone's all confused. But those are the official start times. Again, 2 p.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Pacific will be the start times for qualifier number 4.
Indeed. There you go. There's the information, ladies and gentlemen. Just had some information myself. Karting 18 is Chonk Taxi. So the ability to have the same name you sign up with and your Steam ID seems to elude a few people still. Make it as hard as possible for us. Thank you.
Yeah. As if there's not enough names to remember already. Let's have one person with, and say with like THR Operator and Smashing Apex, just all across the board, different names, but that's all right. We'll keep it straight.
Yeah, it's fine. We've got this nailed here, guys. We're just waiting for them to ready up. Looks like we lost someone from the session again, which is not good. There is like a red return to race race menu as you go transition from session to session. which I have no idea why that's a thing, but it is, and that means you just completely kick yourself out of the game. So I think people are doing that. But right now we've got Operator and X-Wolf on pole and in second. Wildwin only P5. I was expecting to see him be a little bit quicker than that. Karting 18 then is in P4, but we're here. We're ready to rock and roll then. It is our PC races to qualifier number 3 for the Logitech G USA Challenge. And we go green. Here's a great start by the front two here, and actually P5, which is THR Wildwin. I think it's going to get up into P3 here quite easily as well. And he is officially in P3. So P5 up to P3. A great start then for the THR driver. A little bit of argy-bargy there in the background. And you can see that X-Wolf's trying to make an opportunity for himself with Operator. A little bit of touch of feebleness then into turn number 1. Chop Taxi now down to P5. Flip mode into P6. Oh, Racer that is up the inside. He's got to take the long way around. No, he doesn't. Closes off there the nose of Flip mode. And VR Racer 66 is up into, well, I'll tell you what the big story is. Sav from P3 on the grid is all the way down into P9 here. Dave Curran behind him, Stakey in 11th. And then we've got Lucas Quiocho in 10th position. Top 5, though, very close indeed. We're on board here with Chonk Taxi. And actually, he's a little bit off the pace here. And you can see that Max A Power has made a move then on Wildwin. Wildwin trying to go up the inside. And actually, it's going to be a compromise entrance there for Max A Power, having to go the long way round here. But you can see that the front guys are really close here, Frank.
Yeah, that's something really exciting to see too. Normally THR Operator able to get off that line and just create that distance, but these gaps on PC, I mean, they close so quick. It seems like everyone's a little bit more narrow in the skill gap range. You know, PS4, we've seen some new entrants, some new faces, so those times seem to be spread out a little bit. But as we look at the leaderboard right now, I mean, it's anyone's race at this point. I know last time on like PS4 and even on PC, we saw some of that contact early on, which led to the demise of some of our racers early, but it doesn't look like anything too drastic like that happened here today. But X-Wolf definitely doing a great job of chasing this number 1 position as he's sitting in 2, trying to get that qualifying spot.
Yeah, for sure. Operator, of course, and X-Wolf have both just had a 20-minute time race, so they know the conditions here, so they're going to be favourites to indeed do quite well here. So it's almost like a practice session for them, especially Operator, who just went and won the last race.
Right.
Max A, that's a mistake there by X-Wolf. That is going to be a slowdown penalty. Max A Power, I think, may be gifted a position here. You might see, I don't know where X-Wolf's going to take the slowdown. He hasn't taken it yet. So maybe he's going to take the penalty on the chin and take track position over, indeed giving up the spot here. He's about 7/10 of a second behind Operator. Looks like we just lost someone from the race, unfortunately, as well. Still only 11 drivers. But yeah, X-Wolf hasn't taken a slowdown penalty, so he may have got away with one there. But we'll see his number go red if he does indeed get one. Wildwin just falling off the pace of the top 3 right now. And again, for him, he's already qualified. Top 3 is vital, Frank, isn't it, for the money?
Yeah, absolutely. Again, that first spot, $250. Second, going to be taking home $150, and third, $100. But I want to bring up some of the THR guys. You know, during that first qualifier, we saw THR come out extremely dominant. And if it wasn't for Max A Power at the very end, I think finishing in that 3rd position, they would have had a clean sweep for our first qualifier. But of course, today we see them spread out a little bit more. Again, it's Operator in 1st, but I believe Wildwin sitting in 4th position right now, and Flip Mode all the way back in 7th. So just kind of goes back to what we were saying about everyone's skill slowly being elevated and gaps sort of closing in. So I think the THR kind of spread right now just speaks to that.
Yeah, for sure. You know, we're seeing Max A Power looks comfortable in P3. He's actually lapping very similar pace to the leaders. If anything, he's only a 10th slower than the leaders. X-Wolf struggling right now, but there was that one mistake we saw indeed on the last lap. But yeah, Wildwin, yeah, he's had a bit of an indifferent time over the last couple of weeks. He's been moving house. He's done Watkins Glen trip, and he's done all sorts of stuff recently. So he may not have been able to put the hours practice in. But again, you know, for him, already qualified, not that much pressure on him here today. But a top 3, of course, that's where the money is at. So right now, then, Operator is in P1. He would get $250. X-Wolf is P2. He would get himself $150. And Max A Power would get that 3rd spot and the $100. But the qualification positions would go to X-Wolf right now. It would go to Chonk Taxi, and it would go to THR Flip Mode down in 7th position.
Yeah, so, you know, a lot of opportunity there, like we keep mentioning, but it's interesting.
I spoke too soon. So Blashy Boy now is probably going to close the gap. Is he close enough? So the last place you want to make a mistake is onto a big straight, because, of course, you need to get as much speed and momentum as possible. I think Flip Mode may get away with that. Of course, Blashy Boy and Dave Carr both already qualified, I believe.
Yeah, I know Blashy Boy for sure did. And I'm not sure if it was Komori last week as well that qualified, finishing up in that.
It is Komori.
Yeah.
Congratulations to Komori, of course. But yeah, Dave Carr has not qualified.
Right, so
still plenty of opportunities for these drivers. Wildwin, by the way, is closing up onto the back then of this little battle for second and third. So we're going to go cockpit cam and just check it out from his perspective. Can he go let on the brakes here? No, he decides against it. One of the fairer drivers around, especially at the top level as well, is Wildwin. So I'm expecting him to be patient here. And again, he's got operator is probably already too far ahead. We know he doesn't make mistakes.
Right.
So he's probably, that $250 is probably gone, but there's still that $150 second prize up for grabs. So Wildwin's definitely got his eyes set on that.
Yeah, and even as we look at that leaderboard there, the second, third, and fourth spot, all, neck and neck, and you're seeing it on your screen right now as they try to battle for that position. Of course, operator out and ahead, but, that's the money position, right? 2, 3, and 4. If you're in that fourth position, you're not walking home with any money, even though you might get the qualifying spot. So that's why, even though, drivers have qualified before, you still see week in to week out players going all out. I mean, there's still, money available, which is why I think this kind of format...
Oh, late move! Max there, giving X-Wolf a full turnaround. And that is not what Max would have wanted to do there. Chonked, by the way, up into a P3 now. And, well, potentially going to earn himself a bit of money here. Didn't expect to be in this position, but that mistake there has cost... Well, where's Max A Power? He's down into 7th position now. Flipmo moves up into 6th. Racer up to P5, and X-Wolf now is not only in P4, but he's got pressure on for P5. And, although he might still qualify here, he's just been duped out of $150.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely brutal there. Again, X-Wolf just barely missing the cut on PS4, and now we see him on PC suffering another little heartbreak. But we'll have to see if they can recover. And I was just about to mention, too, how that second, third, and fourth position were all so tight, but you get contact like that and a crash like that. And as you can see, just based on those times, everything all spread out now. But we'll have to see if those other drivers can recover and close those gaps again. But yeah, stuff like that you just hate to see happen.
Once again, though, in this race, we're seeing a battle at the back of the pack still. They're still battling all over this circuit right now. Dave Carr in behind Snakey. Snakey is in behind Blashy Boy. So Blashy Boy then is in P8 right now. So let's go on board with Dave Carr and just check out a couple laps. Of course, he was. No, he wasn't right at the front. That was Max A Power. But yeah, Max A Power, who's I think cost here X-Wolf some money. That is, and that's nothing worse. Like, you can race, like you said, this is completely different to any community level leagues. There's nothing really on the line apart from bragging rights. But when you just take money out of someone's hands, that's a whole different ball game.
Yeah, but that again adds to that experience, like we mentioned before, right? It gets the adrenaline going. It's not just a leisurely stroll around the track where nothing's really on the line. We just witnessed it, right? $100, poof, gone out of your pocket, just like that. So the intensity that you have to race at, and the adrenaline and the sometimes aggression from other drivers really comes forth with this format, which is a little bit different than how some of the other regions are run. But I think that's what makes this region so exciting, and I think that's played out throughout these qualifiers throughout the week. I mean, we've seen some really, whether or not it's been a little bit dirty at times, the aggression and just the willingness to win, to get into those money positions and those qualifying spots, I think makes the USA region really exciting to watch.
Yeah, definitely. A lot of these guys would never have ever raced for money before. Even some people in Europe who are right at the top level don't get to race for money. Like, this is so unique what we're achieving here as a group for the Logitech USA Challenge. So it really has thrown a new spin onto the objectives. But you look at where Max A Power is, he's now P7, so even if he did get a penalty, it wouldn't affect where X will finish because no one in front of him has done anything wrong. So if there was a penalty it just wouldn't make any difference to his finishing position right now. So X-Wolf has to just dig deep here. He's got 11 minutes to go. He's got 3 seconds to find to get back up onto that podium and back into that money.
Yeah, and of course we saw the consistency out of some of these drivers too. I mean, Max A Power, of course, has been performing well, and outside of these little accidents, which are tough. But racers like Snakey, who we've seen in previous weeks, even Blashy Boy, but then looking up to like Racer 66, just the consistency out of them is also very cool to see, even though it's not, necessarily the most flashy driving or anything like that. But to see them consistently in those positions, week to week, I think bodes well for the strength of this region. I don't know that, USA or Canada is typically known for being huge into e-racing or sim racing. But it's just another great thing with these matches being streamed, them being for money, the exposure that some of these drivers can get who might eventually get on teams like we see with some of the THR guys and other just esports organizations that might see this type of competition and want to start sponsoring players. So just, the consistency showing up to racing and being able to be on stream, I think there's more opportunity even than a lot of these drivers might even assume is possible. But again, with these races, hoping to really blow up the sim racing and e-racing scene in the USA.
Any exposure is good exposure. It's a real big opportunity for a lot of these drivers. What they don't realize is there's like other continents having the same opportunities, but not for money. So these guys are actually a unique opportunity for them, where there is, they can effectively get wages for racing each week. So that's awesome. Oh, there's a big off there. Then who was that? Is that Dave Carr? No, Blashy Boy. Says Blashy Boy there. The hero last week is now made a big error there, and he was facing the wrong way, and that is, with 9 minutes to go, going to be very difficult to recover from indeed here. X-Wolf, by the way, is now just about 2 seconds behind Chonk Taxi at this point, so he's gained about a second here. On the previous lap, actually, he was slower, so it looks like he made a mistake there, and, well, being hit as hard as he did into turn one, Frankie's more than likely going to have damage to the rear of that car.
Right. To keep in mind too, that damage is, of course, in real time. It affects, everything in sim racing, like it's in the name, right? Simulation. So it's as close to that 1-to-1 as it can be without you actually being out on the track. And the excellent products, of course, from Logitech help to facilitate that experience with the steering wheels and the pedals. But yeah, that damage can come into effect and just affect the way your car handles and everything else going forward. I know during the second qualifier we even saw some damage to the hood of the car, right? So that's going to affect the drag and everything that factors into it is as close to real as you can kind of get.
Yeah, for the most part, if you get damage to the front of the car, it does indeed affect your top end speed. Of course, you're not traveling quite so quickly in a straight line, so you're not as aerodynamic. It's like driving a bus effectively. If you get hit from the rear, it's more to do with stability of the car, handling of the car. So yeah, X-Wolf's going to struggle here, and this is although it's got those two really long straights, it's a very technical circuit, and it's all about hitting your marks, through the apex and the corners, try and maintain speed through the corners. So yeah, it's going to be a very tough ask for him, and actually he's dropping a load of time here to Chonk, so a P3 is looking very unlikely indeed.
Yeah, well, actually, something I wanted to bring up too when we were talking about comparing to the other regions. I know we're seeding for the USA region, but there's also that Europe, Latin America, and Asia Pacific, and all of those will go on to compete, of course, in the global finals. But one thing to consider is the way those other regions are run. I believe they just do time trials, right? So we've talked about that in the past, that how valuable this on track with other racers experience can be. So once it comes time for those global finals, I wonder if the USA and Canada might have a little bit of an advantage there, because throughout all these qualifying events, they've gotten that on-track experience where maybe some of those other qualifying racers from the other divisions might be a little shaken up by other drivers out on the track. So that's something exciting to look forward to, of course, looking forward as well.
I think that they'll be able to deal with pressure a lot easier. Yeah. So with a time trial, there's a lot of people that'll be doing 1,000 laps a week, no problem, to try and qualify for this. Whereas these guys, they've got 20 minutes. If they make a mistake in that 20 minutes, it is game over. You've got to be able to deal with the pressure. You've got to be able to you've got to be able to apply your trade in a pressurized environment. It's very, very simple. In time trial, if you make a mistake, you just start another lap. Right. You just restart the session.
Yeah.
In this, it's we've seen with X-Wolf, he was in a comfortable second position. He's been tagged by somebody else, not any of his doing either. Remember that. But it's cost him here. So, but he will learn from that. So when he does get into that situation once again, potentially in the regional final or the world final, he's been in this environment 9 times.
Right.
It's fine. Easily does both platforms 18 times effectively. So it's like crazy the amount of experience you can gain from this. But yeah, time trialing is good. You do find some serious pace, but yeah, racing we're trying to find sim races at this point, and I think that will give the advantage to the United States of America and Canadian guys.
Yeah, even just the mental aspect, right? Because of what happened to, say, X-Wolf in the previous race, you've got to learn how to recover from that mentally. You can't just hit that restart button. You have to say, okay, that stinks, that happened, but there's still, however, there might be, 11 minutes still left within the race. Well, let me see what I can do with it. So that mental edge as well plays a part in just being able to, overcome that kind of adversity and just maintain a good pace and sort of recover and still give it your best, because hey, there is still money on the line, right? And there's still qualifying positions on the line. So I definitely think there's an advantage to the USA region, especially in the format.
Certainly test your temperament, test your character, especially if you're pulling double duty right now. We've had a bad race for X-Wolf in race 1. He's had to get over that as quickly as possible, dust himself off and get involved in race 2 here with the PC group. And unfortunately, something similar has happened to him once again. But again, like anyone watching right now going, oh, how do they deal with this stuff then? Well, we have a report system. People need to report the incidents. They need to tell us exactly where it's happened, who is involved and stuff, and we investigate it. We've got a team of experts in sim racing and some that are in, experts in motor racing, just in general. And we all discuss it, and then we make decisions based on that. So we have penalties such as they could lose time. They could have a penalty in time that gets added to their time on in the game. And then, of course, if that means they drop a position, then they drop a position or two. They can also lose the ability to qualify in the next qualifying race. So if they manage to, or if they do sign up for the next event, they cannot qualify in the race. So they'll have to start from the back in the very first race. And it's also, if it gets really bad, people could be banned from a whole competition, like a whole round. So we have means and measures as to how to combat that.
Right. Yeah, and that's something we almost saw with regards to during the last qualifier, right? If you're, I forget who the driver was, but he had a little bit of a spin out, was off track, and just immediately almost reversed right into oncoming traffic. Which, depending on what position it was, I think it was a little bit towards the back of the pack. Thankfully, nothing drastic ended up happening. Other drivers were able to avoid him, but that's one of those things that's like, hey, listen, you might be new to sim racing, and that's not something that we want to see reoccurring here, right? So you kind of do a little course correction, let people know, hey, if that happens to you, you need to slow down, let everyone else clear out, and make sure it's safe before you get back on track. But of course, that's just another testament to how good the racing community was. I was paying attention to the Discord after that kind of incident occurred. He apologized, everything seemed cool, it was an accident, those things happen, nobody really held a grudge against him, and everyone kind of just, shook hands and moved on, and I think he learned from it just going forward, so then that won't happen again. Of course, if that becomes a reoccurring issue and the person is less than favorable in how they're interacting with everyone about it, then there is those systems in place to discipline as necessary. But within the racing community, I mean, it's just been such a cool thing to watch kind of occur as everyone just sort of learns together, elevates everyone else up, and just kind of, you move on at the end of the day, you learn from it, and you keep on racing.
Absolutely, and we're seeing right now, X-Wolf has got to lean on his experience from the first race, because he was in this position where he could qualify on PlayStation 4, but unfortunately fell about half a second short. Now he's got 2 laps remaining here, and he's got the very same job on his hands here. He's against someone he's more than likely never raced against before, because I don't recognize the guy in front, Chonk Taxi. This is his first encounter in the esports for what I know personally, but right now he is standing the test of time. He's doing very well indeed. Yeah,
he's shown really a lot of good consistency. I think that's, kind of the name of the game.
That's exactly the right word. Exactly the right word for that. Yeah, his consistency's been incredible.
Yeah, and for, a new face, you never know really what to expect. I know Bones isn't out here today, but we've seen him kind of come out and improve. But for someone to come out just fresh, and you don't know their history, right? You're not sure their experience. Have they just been sort of a time trial kind of person? Have they entered maybe different competitions, but under a different
Have they just
name?
Bought the game like Bones?
Right, yeah. Are they brand new
idea.
to the game? Yeah. So it's really cool that with these 8 different qualifiers, we're able to, follow some of these players week to week and see, okay, was this just kind of a fluke thing that he ended up being driving really well this time, or is he really one of these top competitors, top contenders who maybe has what it takes to, get with that McLaren shadow project, or continue to race at a high level and find himself on a team, or you don't know what opportunities might open up for him, but it's the great kind of exposure and the great opportunity that is with these races that it kind of provides.
Well, we're going to find out now here what Chunk Taxi is really made of now, because it's all good being consistent when you're on your own on circuit. But when you've got someone right up your chuff bike, that is when you really earn your money. And again, this is for P3. It looks like these will both qualify for the regional final. Because right now, Chunk Taxi in third and X-Wolf in fourth will be the first two qualifiers. And then Flip Mode, who's in fifth, would be the next qualifier. So that'll be your three from this race. But it's all about the top three in this race right now. It's looking like Operator is going to pick up yet another victory here. Is he crossed the line? Yes, he has. So we've got one more lap remaining. We're going to stay on board then with P4. This is the bubble for the money. So it's $250 for first, $150 for second, and it's $100 for third. And right now, Chunk Taxi has that third position sewn up here. And X-Wolf, well, he's got to try and put the pressure on here. I think he knows he's qualified. He's got a 15-second buffer to sixth position, who indeed would be the next qualifier, although he's already through. So actually, X-Wolf is more than basically guaranteed to qualify through here to the regional final. But right now, Frank, it is about that money.
Yeah, and that's something interesting too. Like, we talk about that mental aspect. Okay, you're X-Wolf here, you're in a qualifying position. Do you take a risk to try to get into the money and potentially risk that qualifying position if things go poorly, or do you just play it safe? How important is that $100 to you right now? Maybe you've got bills coming out. Who knows what's going on? Maybe he needs to upgrade some racing equipment. So do you take that risk, or do you kind of sit back, just say, okay, I'm in the qualifying position. That was my goal coming in. I'm qualified. I'm cool. Let me just take it easy. So there's a lot of dynamics at play, a lot of factors to consider with these drivers. And again, it's like, does X-Wolf want to try to get risky? Is he going to be able to find that opportunity to even take a risk? Or is Chunk Taxi even going to give up that position? Or is he just driving too solid today?
Well, someone who is driving very solidly indeed is Operator. It is his second win in the day. It's $500 then to Operator. We have then got Wildwin, who will for THR finish in P2. But who will get P3? It's not going to be X-Wolf. It is going to be Chunk Taxi, who picks up the podium and picks up the first qualifying position today, and $100 to boot. X-Wolf will be the next qualifier for our regional final. And then Flip Mode. Oh, Flip Mode's got some big pressure from behind him here. He's got 1 corner to go. I think he's going to be all good here, although we might have a little bit of a drag race. We come up towards the line here. I think Flip Mode's just about going to get it, and Flip Mode is indeed our third qualifier from today's race. VR Racer 66 is going to finish in sixth. We've then got Max A Power in seventh, Snakey in P8, Dave Carr P9, and then we've got Lucas Quiocho, his first ever race with us here in the Logitech Esports or G Challenge USA in Canada. He will finish down in P10. But what a race that was. X-Wolf just did not manage to get himself into that top three. But again, today belongs to THR Operator.
Yeah, I mean, he absolutely showed us the dominance again, not only on PC, but on PS4 as well today. And he's earned that $500 for sure, just with how well of a driver he's able to just how well of a driver he is. But the interesting thing too to note, just while we were watching Flip Mode cross the line there, is the two racers behind him that were kind of battling for that position had already qualified as well. So he had a little bit of breathing room there, didn't have to worry too much, because if any one of those guys overtook him, he was still kind of in that qualifying position. But there's your leaderboard there. Luke, anything kind of jump out at you? Anything crazy surprising, or?
Well, Chunk Taxi getting a P3 is really surprising for me. I've never heard of him before today. Or karting 18, whatever he wants to call himself at this point. But yeah, to win money on your first ever esports event, that's awesome. You can see he's very new to the game. So he's got a U1500 license. So that is his first race online. So that's incredible then from him. Obviously, Operator has just been exceptional all day today. Wildwin, a bit in different races today. Managed to get the result in P2. It just didn't look like he had the pace. And I think the big story here is X-Wolf. He was pretty much nailed on for P2. Max A Power has taken the money out of his hands.
That's right. Yeah. So, guys, that was your PC qualifier. Luke, unless you have anything kind of else to add, I think we'll wrap it up for today.
Yeah, I'm all good. It's been an absolute pleasure working with you again, Frank. hopefully the rest of this competition is indeed going to run as well as it has done so far. And also with the times changing, make sure that you do indeed check the website if you've been in the competition before. Don't make an assumption that it's just going to continue being the same time. So if you're watching this as a replay, make sure you go and check when the next competition does indeed start.
Correct. So just to kind of reiterate, again, thank you guys for joining us on stream. Those next start times for qualifier number 4, which is going to be happening on Sunday, July 28th. That's going to be a 2 p.m. Eastern start time and 11 a.m. Pacific start time. But guys, thank you again for tuning in. Be sure to spread the word on social media. And if you want more information for yourself, or if you know someone who might be interested in competing, check out teambeyond.net and actualvision.com/GChallengeUSA to find out how to register. But guys, that's going to be all for today. So we'll see you next time. Peace.